Hi guys, so this is another little picker card, and I've got little Roops with us today because we are basically, can you see Roo? No, he's like, what's going on? Because basically we're going to do a picker card on, oh thanks Roo, sitting down, on basically what is most important for you to know and understand about love right now in your life. So that's the question that we're going to do. If I'm really honest with you, I'm going to go with the flow. I think I'm going to try and channel the energy and then tell you if you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, what this actually means relative to you. So we have 4 piles, don't we, Roops? Which one are you, Ray? 2. Okay. Right, so anyway, this is pile number 1. Wait, I'm in the way of Ray. This is pile number 2. This is pile number 3. Ooh, Roo looks up at that one, maybe it's a 3. And this is pile number 4. So basically, just tune into and feel where your answer's at, and then basically me and Roo will give you the reading, won't we, Roops? Little Roo is full of love, and also he has literally all 5 love languages, always constantly met. He's like this amazing little love guru. Aren't you, Roops? Cool, so we'll go straight on to pile number 1. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose message number 1 for what you most need to know or understand about love right now. So let's see what comes up. Okay. And obviously if we hear little Roo might walk in and out, I've got no idea. We'll just see. So let's just see. So what do you most need to know about love right now? Okay, what I'm hearing is that it's a clearing process, and that it's either, if you're not in a relationship, it's making space for somebody, or if you are in a relationship, it's making space for a very different type of dynamic than what's been currently going on between the two of you. And this dynamic is going to be a healthier, happier one, because it kind of feels like it's quite easy, it's light and it's breezy, this clearing space thing. It's not like something that's really heavy. So let's turn your tarot over first, because I'm being shown like a circle, and I'm seeing like, it's almost like you're at the center, and it's almost like, it's like a whirlwind around you, but that's way too intense. Think of it as like, it's like the pattern of a whirlwind, but it's so much softer, and it's kind of like I'm seeing like blossom and flowers being like blown in the like warm soft breeze all the way around you. So although it's clearing, it's a really, it's in a good way, it's in an easy way. So now let's see what we have. I'm going to go with this to you first. I'm not going to read anything reversed, I'm hearing. Okay, so the first card that we have is, we have Knight of Cups. What a lovely energy to begin your reading with. And then we have, oh, followed by the World. Oh, I love that depiction of the world. I'm really seeing roses as well with that. So it definitely, like I said, again, it feels like if you're not in a relationship, space being cleared for somebody new to become in. And if you are in a relationship, it's making room for something more. And on each of these levels, it, like I say, it's like softness, it's flowers, it's very kind of romantic. And it's very kind of supportive and loving and nurturing. So then, oh, lovely. So then we have the 6 of Cups, supported by the Page of Swords. So I think one of the really important things for you to understand as well about this, about what you need to know about love right now as well, is that in order to have this new experience, either in a relationship or bringing a new partner in, I think it's really important that you have some very specific sort of perspective about what's gone on for you in the past to do with relationships. And also because the energy of love is so much bigger than just an intimate relationship, it's also you to do with all your different sorts of relationships, but very much the loving sorts, so kind of family relationships, friend relationships, pet relationships, like little Roops. It's kind of, it's looking at all of that, and it's finding a new way of seeing how you actually relate in relationships. Because I feel like in order for this really nice, amazing softness to be coming in, it's also something around you having a new perspective on yourself to do with relationships. So I feel like if you're somebody that's maybe quite hard on yourself, or quite judgmental on yourself, or feels like you're not good enough in some way, or you could be doing more, or you feel frustrated in some way to do with love, or irritated, I feel like this is something for you to have this new perspective on. And again, it's by looking at all your different relationships in the past. And I feel like if anything has been traumatic in some way, because obviously we all have situations and scenarios where stuff can feel really traumatic for us, I feel it's very important that you find a way of seeing it in a new light that actually makes you feel good about that past relationship, or that relationship, whatever it might be. It's really, really important that you reprogram how you view those past disharmonious points that might be on your relationship timeline. And that relationship timeline can be it can be expansive. It could be, if you're super psychic, it could even go into your past lives. But for everybody, you want to think about childhood, early childhood relationships, family relationships, early partner relationships, and also traumatic points with relationships. It's all about those. And also, if you're somebody that generally always has amazing relationships, then I do think it's also about you what I say? It's about you seeing something in a new light. Just let me just pull one randomly for if you're already always in nice relationships, because let's just be open to every perspective here. So what do you need to do? Two of Cups. I think it's more than just you having a new perspective on how you can relate to somebody on a deeper level of intimacy. So I feel like for some of you that are always in amazing relationships, I feel like there's a part of you that doesn't quite go fully deep enough. Like there's more of a space for you to be vulnerable and intimate, and that's something that you need to cultivate or be consciously aware of, so that this new person can come in, or you can go even deeper in the relationship that you're at. And I think it's really important to recognize that sometimes troubleshooting doesn't have to be a big issue. So like if you feel, or your partner feels like there's something coming that could be a problem for both of you, I think it's not about ignoring it, it's actually about facing it and almost using that troubleshooting in a kind of very business mindset, which is, okay, this might happen in the future, this might cause us a problem, so this is what we'll do about it if it does happen in that way, and just go about it in a very kind of businessy type way. But I think it's about being very vulnerable and open and honest to a deeper level than what you have already been doing. Right, now, and then obviously guys, if you're not in a relationship, what I've just said then is also going to be very important to you to do with being in a relationship when you're in that relationship. I think everything that's just been said there has still got some real value, even if you're not in a relationship right now. So then we also have Queen of Swords. And then we also have, oh wow, the Hierophant. I love that depiction of the Hierophant. I've never seen that before. So, Rubus has come a lot closer to our reading, which is cute. Right, so what am I feeling with that? I keep getting this thing, because it's the Queen of Swords and the Page of Swords, I keep getting this real thing about clarity. It's really important that you guys have a real clarity on stuff to do with how you usually are in relationships and how you can go deeper with that. But again, because the overall energy, I feel like this is the flowers that I saw flying around the center of you in this clearing process. This isn't about anything heavy. It's really not about anything heavy. It's more just about again, I keep going back to this business thing with the troubleshooting, and obviously it's more kind of like having almost like a business meeting with yourself to do with how you do relationship, and just kind of being very practical and logical about how you show up and how you could show up, or you know, needs that need to be met, or needs that you can work on yourself, or needs that you need to meet for your partner. I don't know, it's just about being very, very practical about what the current situation is, either when you're not in a relationship or you're in a relationship. And then it's about almost going about it in a very business type way, where it's kind of like you're at a board meeting and everybody's coming up with what's going off right now and how best to go about it. You kind of need to do that, is what I'm seeing, because I'm actually seeing the Hierophant as as actually very much I'm seeing the picture of the traditional deck for the Hierophants. You know, there's kind of like that priest and there's two people in front of him. And again, for me, this, I've never seen it in this way, but this is why I'm being shown it. This is very much about seeking a higher authority point to do with what's going on with you in your relationship. So I feel like that, because it's the Hierophant, this always makes me feel soul. So I feel like this is just really about you seeking that higher part of authority within yourself to do with why you're currently in this situation, to do with relationship, or what you can do to move forward in a certain way. And I feel like it's very much like your soul and your intuition has got so much to tell you about this right now, but it's very important that you can decipher what's being said correctly. With the Queen of Swords, this is all about supreme clarity, and there is zero confusion with the Queen of Swords. But the Queen of Swords, I do also feel, is quite a listener, because she is the feminine representation of this sword energy, and sword energy is communicating, and the softer side of communicating, the more receptive side, is the listening part. So I do think this is really a call to say it's really important right now that in love you really have to listen deep down inside to what your soul is telling you, and just be completely open to what that is. And again, I think this is also why I'm being told I'm being shown all those roses and the flowers going around you, because in order for you to be able to receive these insights, you do need to have this softening to do with it. So again, look back at these past relationships and make sure that no matter what, if there's something that troubles you in a certain situation that troubles you, you find a new perspective, a new way of looking at it, which is a lot more softer. And again, I'm getting this strongly again. If you're somebody that's always in really supportive relationships, or all the relationships in your life are supportive, it's about being really honest with yourself about how can you go into a deeper level of vulnerability with that person and intimacy. Even if it appears like it's something that you think might rock the boat, know that when you do it with all the soft energy of all these flowers around you, nothing actually can rock the boat. And I am feeling a very kind of mature energy here to do with communicating. I'm seeing like the wide spectrum, because obviously we've got the Queen of Swords and we've got the Page of Swords, and together I feel like these kind of give a complete energy to do with communicating. So the other thing that I would say is, for everybody that picked up this pile, I feel like it's really important for you to actually look at how you communicate, look at ways of improving your communication in relationship. But then on a deeper level, this would go into people management skills and all of this kind of thing. And again, if you're at the real high end of the scale, so you find communicating really easily, it's about you fine-tuning it even more. And I feel like it's about understanding, for some of you, it's about understanding timing, when to communicate something and when not to communicate something. And I'm being shown two very specific ways, which is, if you're somebody that always communicates things straight away, you need to probably do the opposite and hold back a little bit and wait for the right moment to say something. If you're somebody that already has that awareness of like, oh no, I shouldn't really say anything just yet, I should wait a bit. Actually, for you guys, it's about you being more assertive with your communication, and it's not about waiting. It's about going more spontaneously as the communication comes up in your mind. So either or. So that's if you're on the higher end of the spectrum with communicating. If you're on the lower end of spectrum of communicating, in terms of maybe this is something where you feel like your throat is constricted, or you find it difficult, or you can never really feel like you can say what you need to say, I feel like for you guys, it's just really important that first of all, listen to your soul, and then really just do what it is that your soul is communicating for you to do. And even if it feels uncomfortable, and even if you don't feel like you can do this easily, whatever your soul tells you, I really feel like it's important that you need to go with it. So that's what I'm getting there. Now let's just pull out your oracle. Just going to make these go a little bit more like this. So let's just see. But again, just with the Knight of Cups in the world in that way, I just feel like, and also the Two of Cups come out, the Six of Cups come out, I do feel like this is a really warming, heartwarming message to do with love. So it's not about it's just about a softness to do with love, and I'd probably say that that's the overall thing that's kind of coming out to do with this is so I'm just trying to make sure I've got all the cards out, is for you guys just to be open to like a softening with love, and that it's really kind of safe to communicate love in a new way. So if you're in a relationship, start communicating it in a new way. If you're not in a relationship, it's safe to communicate how you feel about somebody, or I don't know, what it is that you want to experience in love. So now let's just see what we get. Oh wow, this is a powerful card. So the first card we get here is growth. And then here we get back to what you love, reevaluate your desires. And then here we have Exorcist. And the light attribute is freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. And the shadow attribute is the fear of facing your own demons. And then we have, oh, that's such a nice one. Then we have family. And then we have attraction. You attract romantic love by enjoying this moment fully. And then we have Picasso. And it says here, make seduction the greatest work of art. Begin all affairs with good intentions. Remember, it's not age, it's experience. Right, so just give me a little moment where I put all of these together. So what do you most need to know about love right now? Instantly I'm pulled to this one, I suppose, because it's in the middle, and just with it kind of being like this this pathway thing. I do think it's really important for you to know that wherever you're at to do with love right now, it really is just kind of the beginning. And again, we get that with the growth card. And the fact that we've got the Knight of Cups in the world, you know how I said if you're not in a relationship, this is about making space for a new one. And if you are in a relationship, this is about opening yourself up to a very different way of being within that relationship. So all of these things, as well as these two cards, tell me that this is very much about growth. And this is about something new, a new way of being, a new way of doing. And again, you see with these butterflies and the birds, it kind of reminds me of the energy I saw in the beginning of the whirlwind around you with all the soft flowers and things. I do feel like it's an exciting time period for you, or it is about to be, and that's something that you need to be aware of. And really, the only challenging card we have out of this entire deck here is this card here, the Exorcist one, where it says freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses, the fear of facing your own demons. I think if any of you are struggling right now in a relationship, or you're struggling to get in a relationship, I feel like just give me 1 minute, because I'm getting some words that I know aren't helpful, so I just want it to be defined a bit more. Just give me 1 second. I just feel like I'm just being shown something to do with eyes and like different glasses on, and it's like a different prescription lens is on the glasses, and with one pair of glasses you can see clearly what's going on, and if you put on the other pair of glasses then they're not the right fit for your eyes and prescription, and then you can't see clearly what's going on. I just get so much about perspective with this pile. Is something you need to be aware of, because it's just about you. I feel like the answer is right in front of you if you're not currently in a relationship, like it is right in front of you. I feel like the universe has been saying it to you over and over. I feel like your soul has been whispering something to you over and over as well. And it really just is about you allowing yourself to see and hear exactly what's being said to you. Because I feel like it's not so much anymore to do with a fear. And I don't really think it's anything so much to do with destructive impulses, but it still feels like this energy of, you know, the Exorcist, again, it's like clearing something out. And that goes back to the very beginning that I said I felt about this clearing of a way. But it doesn't feel like a heavy clearing. So it's nothing too heavy like fears and destructive behaviors. No, it's really nothing. That's way too intense. It's not that. It's actually much more subtle, which is the thing that you need to clear out. And I think that might be why you're in the situation that you're at, where either you're not quite where you want to be within the relationship that you're at, or you keep getting a similar problem coming up in that relationship, or you can't seem to get in a relationship, or the relationships you get into, they don't last very long, or they're not fulfilling, or something like that. It's because there's a very subtle nuance that needs to change within your perspective, and because it's not major, it's difficult to see. And I feel like some of you might actually be going round and round in a pattern, thinking that there's something really big that you need to change, there's something you're not doing right, and I have to tell you right now, it is nothing to do with that. It's just the reason why you seem to be in this space is because it's actually something very, very subtle. I have to say, with the family card coming up, I do think it's something to do with family, or your perspective to do with family. I feel like that's actually where it's coming from. And obviously we mentioned a bit earlier on with the Six of Cups, make sure you look back at all your relationships, particularly those ones to do with family, because it's going to have a really strong bearing on whatever's going on. And it is about seeing it in a harmonious way, and it's about seeing it in a way where I'm getting the words like there's zero attachments to how you see those relationships and connections in the past. Like it's more kind of like matter of fact kind of thing. And sorry, I've got so many things just now coming through. Just also, again, this attraction card here, and again, her smelling the roses. I do really get this thing about roses really strongly for this pile. And roses also show that kind of like, I always think like a really deep love for some reason. And like in essential oils, it's one of the most expensive oils that you can ever get if you get pure rose oil. And again, I feel like this is something that you need to be aware of to do with you. Like, that you really are like the energy of, and this is the energy that you can hold to do with love. It's like seeing yourself as this super valuable, super unique, but super loving and soft energy that's just really worth so much, and that essentially is super special, and everybody sees this whether they say it or not. And I'm very much seeing this from like the energy of the rose, because of how valuable rose oil is. And it's kind of like you understanding that. And even if something has happened in the past which you feel is either tainting the relationship that you're in, or it's tainting your perspective, or if you can't seem to get in a relationship, or you're not in a relationship, you've got to be so clear on this. It is absolutely nothing to do with you. Now, some readings I definitely do feel like it is to do with the people that I'm reading for, but I'm clearly feeling it is not to do with you. It's just almost like some very subtle, almost like ancestral, tenuous link that's now the thing that's coming between you and where it is that you want to go. But I really want to emphasize this. It's not this huge, major, big deal, because I know often family stuff can be super heavy, and it really is, but it's not. Trust me, it's just something subtle, it's something soft, and that's why it's kept being overlooked. So I do really feel like it's really important that you need to be soft. You need to be open. You need to really listen to your soul. That is so important. And then I do just feel like, again, like with this picture, regardless of what the words say, obviously he's painting a picture of that woman, and it's quite an abstract version of that woman. Again, I think this is the problem with what's going on. It's really quite abstract. What is the perception that you need to get? And it's not that it's abstract because it's a bizarre concept. It's more like it's abstract to you because it's almost so simple that you're overlooking it. And I do really feel that. But again, I do really feel like with the attraction card, like getting pulled into this whirlwind of flowers, like the pathway going there, growth, I do feel like life is really supporting you to get this awareness. Now, I just want to pull a couple more, because you guys, this one feels a little bit more complicated. I'm actually going to get a new sort of tarot. One sec. Can we just have a tiny bit more clarity so that everybody can kind of understand what this subtlety is, where it's coming from? I'm actually hearing we get 4 cards. And I'm hearing that we will read reversed if we come up reversed. So let's just see. So we have Justice. Then we have the 8 of Pentacles. This one's called Dedication. That actually looks like Rue. Rue sits like that, watching out. Then we have, oh wow, beginnings again. The idea of beginnings. This is the Fool card. And then we have, oh wow, the universe. That's the second, the universe, the world card to come out. Obviously we started with it at the top here as well. Right, so just give me a moment. So what can I tell everybody that will help them understand this? Because it's kind of like a nuance is what I'm hearing. Right. You know what, oh my god, this is just really re-echoing the same thing to me again as what I've already said to you. Basically, it's the, you know, it's the new start of something, because essentially and I really hope these words are going to at least give you some insight into what it is, because it's not really anything that specific, but I have asked for more clarity and I'm not getting it, so I'm going to go with what I'm getting, which is kind of like another way of saying what I've already said, but it might just help it link in a little bit. What I'm really getting is, and I think it's a little easier if I try a channeling version with this now, is basically what I'm really getting is that you, look, whatever's happened in the past to do with some family stuff, and again, it really does feel kind of family and it feels kind of karma based. It is absolutely in no way affecting you, your aura, your energy field, or your timeline anymore, apart from the unconscious or either conscious perception that it is still affecting it. And that's the really strange, subtle nuance about this entire thing. Like, it literally is no longer affecting you at all. You are not going to manifest or create from this past scenario setup that has been influencing you previously to do with relationships. So if a same theme keeps coming up over and over, which is not something you're happy with in your relationship or in your relationships, this is purely habitual. It is totally habitual. It is nothing to do with anything relevant to you, your soul anymore. But I think it's almost like the habit of it, and the habit that creates the same thought patterns and the same emotions that then release the same chemicals into and hormones into your bloodstream is setting up a repeat cycle to do with whatever this is. And that's the only thing that's either keeping you in the space of not being in a relationship when you want to be, or the same issue coming up over and over in a relationship. But this is the interesting thing. Until you kind of like get that you're no longer part of that cycle, and that this really is just kind of some unconscious habit, it's nothing more than that. That's the moment then when you'll start to get the perception that you need, so that you can start to either open up to a new type of person or a new type of relationship or a new way of doing a relationship, or if you're in a relationship, you stop that issue keep coming up over and over, because then you'll get the insight that will allow you to move forward in this way. So it's kind of like it's a kind of a non-straightforward, easy answer for me to give, but I hope that kind of gives you some insight of how it is, because that's literally how I'm seeing it. So also, if you want to know something that might be useful, is it's almost like you almost need to re-hypnotize yourself that you are no longer that past whatever it is that keeps coming up. So I no longer can't get in relationships, or I no longer keep having unhealthy relationships, or I no longer keep having this issue coming up in my relationship. But this is, if you're also in a relationship, just know that it's you that has the change in perception, and then it's you that then starts to engage slightly differently, which then stops this issue coming up over and over. And that's kind of how it goes. And again, like I say, if you're not in a relationship and you want to be, it's kind of like the moment that you realize that there is no issue anymore with you being in a relationship, and you relax about it, but you truly feel like that's when everything starts to shift. Because I'm here to tell you, it's all been done. It has all been done. But again, it might be about you making different choices and actions, even in very subtle ways, which is actually going to make the difference. But first of all, it starts with that shift internally, which is essentially you're no longer going to recreate the past. You're no longer recreating the past. That's the really important message here. It is not going to be a repeat performance of the past, either a repeat performance of what you've seen in your family, repeat performance and what you've seen in past relationships, or even in this relationship if you're in it now. And that is overall the most important message to get, because please also remember this. The first two cards that came out for you was the Knight of Cups and the World. It's a really beautiful energy, and it's a new way of doing romance. It's a totally new way of doing romance, and you're ready. It's here to go. I mean, we have the beginning card and we have the growth card both coming out. Look, this is a new start. It's a new fresh way of doing something. We have the World card coming out twice in the universe, the closure, the closing out of an old cycle. Everything about this is done. It's a new way to go. It's attracting in new things. It's actually a really positive thing. But I suppose the only sticking point is that you have to really just listen to your soul and hear what your soul is trying to tell you. I think that's really important. Now, I wasn't going to do this, but just because I feel like it's quite a big thing with you guys at the moment, I'm just going to pull out one card and just read what it says on the bottom, and then you use your intuition, see if you can get any further insight, because I do think this is quite a deep reading, to be honest with you. Okay, so the words are: have faith, trust your faith in this situation. So I hope you enjoyed that reading. That was a little longer than what I expected, but it was what would I say? It's just a subtle nuance that is the thing that you need to be aware of. And because it's so subtle, and because it's such a nuance to do to you personally, like how you personally perceive it, it's just not something that easily comes out straightforward. But anyway, I look forward to reading for you guys again, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose message number 2 for what you most need to know or understand about love right now. So let's see. Okay, so message number 1 was reasonably complicated. It wasn't just straightforward. So let's see what happens for you. Oh wow, straight away the Lovers pops out, and I particularly love this picture of the Lovers. Wow. Okay, now I just want to get all the others out without turning them up right. I'm really being drawn to the words like embracing. I'm really hearing embracing, and I'm hearing like physical touch. I'm hearing like soul partner, soul connection, soul relationships. So let's just have a look here. So then we have 5 of Swords, and then here we have, oh wow, the Tower. Okay, and the Lovers is supported by the Queen of Cups. That's an amazing soft energy to go with the Lovers. I love that. The 5 of Swords is being supported by the 9 of Wands. Okay, and the Tower card, wow, I love it, is being supported by the 10 of Cups. Okay, so just give me 1 second to feel into exactly what's going on here. So what you most need to understand about love is, number 1, genuine true love is supportive, it's nurturing, it's understanding, it's considerate, it's compassionate, it's empathetic, it's drama-free of the small things. It's not sweating, and it's not triggering or irritating any of the small things. And even the big things that come up, which are genuinely big things to deal with, you can work through them and you can resolve them without either party having to over compromise. Because I think with the Lovers coming out in the very beginning, this is such a supportive energy. It's such a supportive energy, and particularly this depiction of the Lovers. It's so soft and nurturing. And also when that then comes out with the Queen of Cups, I mean, of all the queens, she's the queen that is the most loving, the most open-hearted, I would say. And so I think it's really important that whether you're in a relationship right now or you're not, or however the rest of your relationships are going, like even work relationships, you know, the best relationships are going to be the most supportive and the most understanding. There's going to be this deep sense and this deep, just as like a place of softness. And, you know, even if there are disagreements that go off or challenges, it's the fact that, you know, two people can still come together and can understand the other's perspective and listen to that perspective. And so, yeah, I think that's the first message that's coming out about what you really need to understand to do with love. And I think this is something for you maybe to ask yourself, are these qualities that are currently going off either in your relationship or in your life, or are you even able to provide that sort of energy to others? I feel like this is a really important thing going on, because it feels like you guys are going to have a really big breakthrough to do with what love really is and what love really means. And I feel like for people that chose this pile, there's going to be a very abrupt, a very kind of like almost like eureka moment, a very Uranus moment to do with your perception of love, and particularly your perception to do with romantic love. I feel like for some of you might have been idealizing romantic love, and it's not practical and it's not realistic, and because of that it's setting up a fairy tale type of perception, which is essentially a naivety to do with mature, loving, romantic relationships. It's kind of like where Walt Disney, it's like, you know, when sometimes Walt Disney gives all of this certain image to do with certain things, and not that that's not possible, because let's be honest, there's every type of possible relationship available in this physical reality. But for people that have chosen this pile, I feel like the message is, if you romanticize love in some way, or you make it some kind of fairy tale thing, that's something for you to just become more emotionally mature to do with your concept of love and what love is like, because love can be so many different types of things which aren't necessarily idealistic. But what I'm really hearing is that the main things that you need to know is that love is supportive, it's nurturing, it's respectful, it's compassionate, it's empathetic. It involves compromise, but not to the detriment of somebody. It involves an equalness in terms of how you engage, how you both perceive each other, because again, the Lovers is the number 6. And I feel like it's very important to understand like harmony, that you guys need to understand that to do with love, it's about looking for harmony at this point in time. It's not about idealization, it's about harmony. And I think this is something so important to just be mindful of. And again, I'm kind of hearing, I'm getting many different messages, but with these two cards here, the 5 of Swords and also the 9 of Wands, I'm really hearing as well that it's kind of like, don't sweat the small things. Do not sweat the small things to do with relationships, or where you're at to do with love or anything like that, or even your family relationships or friendship relationships or work relationships, whatever it might be. Just don't sweat the small things, because they're not worth worrying about, they're not worth putting time or energy into. And it does kind of feel like this is very much a message of let's put it this way, if you're on the spectrum of people that aren't in a relationship and wants to be in a relationship, or you're getting in the same relationship over and over, which isn't helpful for you, the things to know are, don't idolize love, don't idolize the perception of love or idolize the perception of your partner. Be really realistic and pragmatic and emotionally mature to do with relating. Understand that there will always be problems and issues. It's not about looking for perfect, but it is about looking for the softness within imperfection. And I'm being told to say that again. It's about looking for the softness within imperfection. This is something that's really, really important. And it's kind of like, it's not about winning, it's not about losing, it's not about who's right, it's not about who's wrong. It's about the fact that you are two human beings coming together to help to expand each other in nurturing, soft, supportive ways. So one thing I'm really hearing with this, and I know I often hear it in the spiritual community, this is not about hashing it out with some kind of soul friend or soul lover or whatever, who basically you trigger each other all the time, you pull up each other's woundings, it's not about that. I'm hearing so strongly, like, what you need to know about love right now is do not go after that right now. I mean, maybe in the future that might be something for you, maybe it was in the past, but right now it's definitely, the cards are all saying, stay away from that. That is not for you right now. And if, let's say, you have a certain issue that's coming up and you're in a relationship, or you're not in a relationship and you find it very difficult because of a certain issue, it's about being with somebody that doesn't trigger the issue and that can support you to grow past the issue in a loving, nurturing way. So it's not about some soulmate coming in who's going to flare you up all the time, trigger you all of the time, and you're going to have this push-pull kind of connection with them. It's so not about that. It really is about somebody who's going to understand, be compassionate, be empathetic, be super supportive. And the last thing they are going to do is trigger your issue. And the first thing they are going to do is be completely supportive and understanding to do with your issue. And this, if you allow this person to come in, or if you allow this kind of like experience to evolve, or if you allow yourself to engage with somebody in this way, then you're going to have such a massive breakthrough, a real eureka moment to do with relationship and the emotional fulfillment and the emotional joy that comes from being in a connection where you are not battering it out like ping pong between two souls, but where actually it's two souls coming together that are just seamlessly and effortlessly supportive of each other. So it's like this phrase that I always love so much. It's like being at home and on holiday at the same time. That's the feel of this person. That's the feel of this way of relating. It's like being at home but being on holiday at the same time. So it's super nurturing, it's super familiar, but it's also it's still exciting and it's still new, and it just allows everything to get explored and everything to get expanded. But you know, there's no need with the Nine of Wands. I always think of that as a very resistive energy. You often see that as like somebody standing like battered with like a bleeding headband around them, and it's like they can barely stand up anymore. It's a really exhaustive, can't say that word, but it's a very exhausting energy, and it's a very depleting energy, and it's a very draining energy. And with the Five of Swords there, it's a very like, it's like problem going round and round in your head over and over, but you're being really, really resistant to the solution or seeing it in a new way or doing it in a new way. Like that is the sort of energy to be mindful of if you are to do with love. Don't stay away from this energy to do with love. That's what I'm hearing so strongly. So again, it's like it's saying no to a soulmate relationship, which is so exhaustive and draining because you constantly push pull, or it's so hard to get them to understand your perspective, or they don't understand your issues, or you find their issues irritating, or whatever it might be. Like, stay away from this type of thing. And then also if you're single, again, it's like stop, don't overthink any negatives to do with relating or relationships. So you might hear in your head, or you might recognize sometimes you might think to yourself, oh God, I'd rather not be in a relationship because that's too much, or actually, I think I'd be better off being single, or any of these kind of things. Like, I'm also hearing stay away from that kind of internal dialogue. That's really, really important right now. But now let's pull out your oracle. I don't know why, but I always feel like love readings can be so long, like the messages sort of, I don't know, always feel quite complicated. But I guess, to be fair, two humans coming together and relating on a super intimate, vulnerable way, that's always going to be complicated until it's not. So let's have a look, see what else we get out. Well, the other thing that I'm hearing is, you know when you say like about not idolizing love, and like, I don't know why, but I'm going to bring this out to do with Rupert, because everybody gets that pets are amazing and all the rest of it. So like with Rupert, he can bark sometimes quite a lot, But we're always like, oh, this is what he loves to do. This is his love language. He's trying to protect. He loves like his acts of service and keeping everybody safe, even though the barking can sometimes irritate people. Oh, there wants two here. But the thing is, even though that's not perfect, we all still think he is totally perfect. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is, it's about having this same sort of softness that you might to do with like more innocent energies, like children, like animals, like, you know, all of that kind of thing. It's about having that same sort of like softness and that same sort of like non-irritation to do with things to do with partners or people that you might find normally irritating, and that you allow to become irritating, because you're kind of like looking for this kind of perfection that actually doesn't exist. And also what I'm hearing is, actually, if you had the perfection, you might think that you want it, but if you got it, you'd find it super boring and it wouldn't turn you on. So remember that as well, like the chemistry would just zap super quickly. And it's not that I'm not talking about, oh, because you need to have conflict to have chemistry. I'm just saying that to have something that was just so idyllic that it always stayed in the same energy of idyllic, that energy would get boring. It's like if it was Christmas Day every single day for 365 days of the year. Would we really even get excited about Christmas? I doubt it. So just also remember that kind of concept. But anyway, let's just see what's going on. So first of all, we have the student. So light attributes: humility and devotion to knowledge, openness to lifelong learning. Shadow attributes: arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge, unwillingness to translate knowledge into action. Okay, then we have Divine Gateway. I really, really love these cards. I think they're so beautiful. Then we have, oh, I love this, Spiritual Connection. A relationship has a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. Oh, that's a beautiful card. Okay. Then we have Lord Byron. Be mad, bad, and dangerous to know. Love will find a way through paths where wolves fear to prey. Ugh. Friendship is love without his wings. Okay. And then here we have law of responsibility and courage. And then we also have, retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. Okay, so just give me a moment just while I feel into all of these and see what the overall energy is. I think in the end I might end up challenging, because it was like what happened last time. It was just easier to get the message out rather than explain it through cards. So the first one, this is pulling me to the Lord Byron thing. I feel like his energy is something that was super controversial to do with relationship. And I kind of feel like it's not that you need to be controversial to do with relationships, but you need to break your own convention to do with relationships or how you see love. It's kind of, again, if there is some idealization of loves or romanticizing, I do really feel like it's about being just fully kind of realistic about it all. I think this is really, really important. And I don't know why that comes up so much, but it just kind of does. So I think be mindful of that. And I think as well, just be so mindful of, it says here, be mad, bad, and dangerous to know. I just feel like that is those soul connects where you just like, and obviously I've been in that kind of thing before. It's push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. It's just so not healthy. It's so not healthy. And I think just be careful of relationships or connections that are supposed to be loving and nurturing, but make you feel mad, they make you feel bad, and they pull out a whole intense side of you, which is the opposite vibration of love if you were to feel into it. I think that's the most important thing out of that, really, and that's shouting at me straight away. I do really feel as well with this student and the Divine Gateway, it kind of feels to me, and this one here, all coming together, I kind of really feel like there's a new way for you to there's something for you to learn right now to do with relationship, being in a relationship, or how to be in a relationship. And it kind of feels like, let's say if you're at the high end of the spectrum, where you can actually, you're really gifted with relationships, you do relationships really well, you find them really easy, and you're always in nurturing ones. I kind of feel like maybe it's about time that you actually share some of this insight in some way. But this is specifically for people where you are that example. So let's just say a lot of this reading, you're like, oh yeah, no, I see that. Yeah, I understand people idealize relationships. I don't. I'm okay with people's flaws. I get that. All of this kind of thing. Then I actually feel like when you talk to friends or whoever comes to you and mates want to talk about relationships, have more confidence and authority with what you tell them, because you really do understand what's going on. And sometimes the student then becomes the teacher, and so I think that's something to be aware of. But I also feel like the message with this as well is don't force or push anything. But then I also feel like you guys would never do that anyway, because if you're on this end of the spectrum, I just feel like you already sort of embody this kind of lover's energy and the Queen of Cups energy, where you are very supportive, you're very tolerant, you're all of these kind of things. And then if that is the way, I'd actually also just say to you, recognise that you can use these skills in your working environment more than what you already are. And I know that this is coming in as a love relationship, but I just think just be mindful of that. There's more, because you're so good with this energy of relating and you're aware of it in relationships, romantic relationships, start now bringing that energy into other areas of your life, like your working life or like your life purpose life or anything like that. Now, for those of you that aren't in relationships or find them tricky, I do think there's something to understand about this whole concept we've talked about it's not about being perfect, and it's not about the other person being perfect, and it's not about the relationship being perfect. And I think it's about you kind of making an understanding, almost deciding what are non-negotiables for you and what you will negotiate on, maybe before you even get in a relationship. I think this could be really, really useful. And remember, it's not about looking for perfect, so it's understanding which things that actually you are okay to work with. I feel like this is basically going to open up a completely new doorway for you, and I think it will really help you actually get into a relationship. And I actually think if you're already in a relationship, that kind of concept, that kind of mindset of like, okay, it's not about being perfect, or it's not about me being perfect, and it's not about them being perfect, what can I put up with? And it's not what can I put up with, but what is actually okay with me? What are the difficult parts of somebody that actually I can work with? It's not a big deal for me. I understand that, so it's not hard for me. I think it's about understanding those things too. But I do also want to say, when it says the spiritual connection, this is this past life, and it basically mentions past lives here. I do think it's really important as well that you understand this concept with past lives, where there's always a really strong pull when there's been past life relationships and you meet people again. And you can feel very familiar straight away and really quickly. And that is a beautiful thing. But always remember, it's about that relationship growing and nurturing in a positive way in this lifetime. And that will invariably involve some more work, some more hard work. And I think the thing is, when you meet somebody straight away and you maybe unconsciously recognise them as a person from a past life, there isn't a lot of hard work that goes on in the beginning, because you instantly gel, you're instantly familiar. But then what will happen is there will become a point where the hard work kicks in, and sometimes that can be quite challenging, because you're used to it also honeymoon in the beginning, and then you're like, what? This is hard work, what? And then this story of, well, maybe this isn't right, or maybe it shouldn't be this hard. The fairy tale thing comes up, which isn't reality, but makes you think, oh, I don't think this is right. I think you need to be mindful of that. And then also, what I think is interesting is sometimes when you meet somebody that is nobody from a past life, it often can be a little bit harder to work with in the beginning, because there isn't that same familiarity. But then you actually find it easier as the time goes on, because you're kind of like building from the ground upwards. Whereas when you come into a relationship with a past life, it's kind of like you're building on the past, so you're already building on like a higher level, and that in itself becomes more complicated to balance later down the line. So I don't know why I'm saying that. I think I'm just saying it just so you're aware of these different perspectives of how stuff work. And again, the idealization of things, particularly when you recognize somebody on a soul level so much from the past, it still means that work will need to be done at some point in that relationship, and it's recognizing like the imperfections within the perfection, if that makes sense. So I just think this is important to know. And also this concept of working hard in a relationship. For some reason, it's not that this is a heavy concept of working hard, but with the law of responsibility and the law of courage, look, it's like anything. Let's just say a really successful person in life, let's say to do with their family relationships, they will have worked really hard to cultivate that. Let's just say somebody that's really successful in business or earning money, they will have had to have worked really hard to do that. At some point, it's always going to take some hard work to create something beautiful, because it's just the way that it is, because it's you know, responsibility is required over time to build something that lasts long term, and the courage to keep pushing through even when things are difficult. Now, if you're somebody that finds it difficult to get in a relationship, I guarantee somewhere in your life you are very successful with responsibility and courage. I guarantee it. So whether that's at work, if it's earning money, if it's being really fit, if it's being really creative, whatever it is, there's an area of your life that you already embody these characteristics and qualities, and now it's just about transferring them over into the relationship arena. And equally, if you are in a relationship, I do think if there is anything that's a bit tricky right now, I'm not saying that this is the right relationship forever, because that's a different sort of reading. But what I am saying is right now about love, you need to know it's about taking more responsibility in that relationship and being more courageous within that relationship. It's not looking for something more perfect. It's looking to find the perfect within the imperfect, because there's something super loving and supporting about this connection. And either way, whether it's long term or not, there's still a way to go yet with this connection. And I really do get that. I love this card, it's so nice. So yeah, I think that's really important. Now with the retreat card, it's time to disconnect from the world. I'm just really getting, again, I don't know why I'm getting so strong. I just think it's time to disconnect from any kind of like irresponsible messages which are out there about idolizing phantom realities. I think it's really important to disconnect from that. And I think it's so easy, obviously, with social media and all of this stuff, or everybody's putting out images. I mean, we all do it. I do it. We all do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's recognizing when something is an illusion and recognizing when something is a reality. And I think the retreat message here, along with everything else that we've talked about, is, you know, it's really important to work out what is fantasy and what is reality, both within your own constructs in your mind of how you see relationships, and also within the constructs of what you do experience in your life. I think it's really, really important, because I'm sure as any couple that's, let's say, been together 60 or 70 or 50 or 40 years, they're all going to have had to have worked through difficulties and challenges and problems. And it's about kind of like sticking through with that and not thinking that there is something better somewhere else. But that's just, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just kind of giving you the overall energies of what is coming up about what you should understand or be aware of to do with love right now at this moment. And it's about taking what I've said and kind of personalizing it to you. And like I say, some of these words are the words to play with, like phantoms, illusions, intensities within relationships, you know, all of this kind of thing. I really generally feel like you're close to having a real breakthrough to do with this, and as a result you're going to have a Tower moment, and it's going to break your constructs, or the constructs that you have in your mind to do with what relating and relationship is, and it's going to help to bring in an even healthier way of you looking, perceiving and engaging with relationships. But it does already feel super awesome. And I would say that all of you here, wherever you're at to do with relationship and relating, you all have the ability to have a super, super high level experience of romantic love in this lifetime, 100%, because the Lovers and the Queen of Cups, like I say, the Queen of Cups is the best energy that you could have to do with relating in terms of one of the court cards, and this Lovers cards in particular is so nurturing. So if any of you have any doubt right now that can you do relationship, is relationship for you, all of this kind of thing, I would say categorically 100% yes. And I would actually say that for a lot of you, when you're in a relationship that is supporting, nurturing, loving, all of these things like what we said, I think you're going to flourish way more than you would ever realize. Like, I actually feel like everybody that's chosen this pile is naturally very relationship minded, and they're not individualistic minded. You might actually think you're individualistic minded, particularly if you've not been in many relationships, but I guarantee you relate heavily in other areas of your life, whether it's family, whether it's your working environment, whatever it is. I think you're very much a team player, and this is the perfect sort of energy to have in successful long-term relationships. So yeah, I hope that was really useful for you guys, because I did it for the other one. I want to do it for you also. I'm just going to pull out one card, and this is for you to just use your intuition on. I'll just tell you what it says. It says here, turn on your heart light, reflect on a time when you experienced love. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose message number 3 for what you most need to hear to do with love right now. This is just such a beautiful colour. I really love it, and it looks so pretty with the pink. Anyway. Okay, so one of the first things I'm getting as well with that is I think one of the first things that you need to know about love is like, love is very flattering and compatible, and it kind of is very beautiful in its like raw way. It's very it's just, okay, so what I'm getting is it's like seeing like a beautiful sunset, or seeing something that you think is really beautiful, maybe like babies and puppies together, or I don't know, maybe you see a car that you just think, oh wow, that's just so beautiful. I don't know what it might be, but it's kind of, that's what you kind of need to know about love, that it's kind of, it's not about it being breathtaking, but it's about it just being like, just feels really good to you, and it's something that you can instantly connect to and instantly feel aligned to, is what I'm hearing. But now let's just see what cards we get for you guys. So I'm going to do the tarot first, and then we'll add in sorry, I'm just being shown a different way to do this, and we'll add in we got 2. We'll add in the oracle after. So let's see. We're not going to read reverse. So oh wow, first card is the Empress. I really love that as the first card out. I'm going to turn them all over before I say anything. Supported by that is the Page of the Ace of Swords. Empress and the Ace of Swords. Then we have, oh wow, no friggin' way. Then we have the Emperor, and supporting the Emperor we have Strength. Wow. So we have the counterparts here for each other, but the most powerful counterparts, and it's not like, I don't know, the Page, the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. It's literally the Emperor and the Empress. So then we have 7 of Pentacles, and that is supported by 2 cards here, King of Pentacles and 9 of Swords. Okay, right, so just give me a little minute. Okay, so you know what I was saying originally about this whole, what you need to know is that love is compatible. I mean, and then literally we have the Empress and the Emperor together, obviously they are completely each other's counterfeit, each other's partner. And I do feel as well with that right from the very offset, yeah, it is this thing about recognize that what you need to understand about love is, particularly for you guys that chose this pile, is that love will feel instantly compatible. And that's something that you need to recognize right now. And it's more just like, it just makes sense to you. And even if, let's just say, and when I say it makes sense to you, it's going to make sense to you on a really deep internal level. So even if the exterior might not make sense to you, inside it just totally makes sense to you. So even if somebody comes across your path, or you're with somebody which is really not who you would usually be with, in a very superficial way, on a really deep way, you're totally compatible, and it totally makes sense to you. And I feel like as well, this is the sort of thing, when some people say, oh, that couple looks good together, it's not just, let's say that their appearances seem to blend well together. It's more like their energies just blend so well together. Like they're just very compatible. Like in the very beginning, and I was like, oh, this green is so pretty and it just looks so nice with that pink. It's kind of that kind of energy. It's like two things that come together, and although by themselves this looks really pretty and this looks really pretty, when you put them together, it somehow blossoms each other. And this is like the whole idea about this counterpart relationship, or what I'm hearing for you guys that you need to hear about love right now, is it's very flattering to each other. It brings out the best in each other. Because as well, the Emperor and the Empress, they are both literally, let's just say they are the, you can't get much higher than their energy on a feminine in terms of the Empress card, or a masculine in terms of the Emperor card in the tarot deck. So they are the most powerful energies of the feminine and the masculine in a very earthly, tangible way. And the reason why they are that and why they come together is because, just know that in love, if you get with somebody where, or right now, if you get with somebody where it's not flattering to you, it's not compatible to you, it's going to stop you moving forward in life the way that you should be right now. And that's really, really important for you to know. One thing though that I would say as well is that just before you count somebody out, or you count something out, just know this: with the Empress and the Ace of Swords, sorry, God, I'm getting so confused with that energy. And this is the thing, I think there might be a little bit of lack of clarity to do with how you receive love. I think you guys that pick this pile, you might have a bit of lack of clarity about how to receive love, and how to be receptive to love, or how to be fully receptive to your partner or something like that. And I do feel like with the Ace of Swords, it's about you having a new perspective to do with this, how you can receive love. I think this is really, really important. And I feel like some of you might think like, what would I say? Sorry, my phone's just ringing, it's just distracted me, but it'll stop in a minute. I feel like as well, this is where some of you might think that you're really great at receiving. And it's not that you're not great at receiving, but it's just that there's now a new way for you to receive. And I feel like as well, if you're in a relationship, the person that you're in a relationship with right now, they are going to push you to receive love in a new way. And in doing that, you're actually going to realize that it's more of a mature way for you to receive love. Like maybe previously, and I think this is why I was getting confused with Page. I said it again. Why I'm getting confused with the Ace of Swords with the Page of Swords, because I think you have some confusion on a deep level about how you receive love and what love is to you. And I feel like in the past it's more of an immature perspective for you personally as a soul. I'm not saying that it's immature to do with how we might all make judgments about what's mature or not mature. I'm just saying for you as a soul, it's a more immature expression of how you've received love in the past. And actually what you're going into that you're in now, or what you will be heading into if you're not in a relationship right now, it's a much more mature way of receiving love. And I also feel like the person who's going to be much more emotionally open, emotionally present, emotionally available, and very sort of incredibly loving, but still they have very much a sense of their own sense of self. So it's not like they're going to dissolve into you or that you will dissolve into them, but it's just that they can be incredibly open-hearted. And the reason is because actually they're just very emotionally secure within themselves. And because they're very emotionally secure within themselves, they can be that open and vulnerable with somebody without feeling insecure at the same time. And that in itself is going to give you a whole new way of receiving love, because they're going to almost be able to give you so much more genuine love than what you've ever had before as a result of them holding this energy. Also, if you're in a relationship, know that that's something that's available within this relationship. Either you're that person or they're that person, or it's something you can both play with. So that's what's going off on there. Then with the Emperor energy and the Strength card, I feel like this is quite an interesting energy, so just give me a moment. It feels like, again, let's go back to this whole idea about flattering. It's really important that you know that love is really flattering to you. And what I mean by that is it's not like they're always saying, oh, you're amazing, this, that, and the other. It's just that that person's energy and that person's lifestyle and that person's existing really flatters your energy, your existence, your lifestyle. So when the two come together, it's very, very compatible, and it's very, very harmonious and supporting, and it allows more to be created together than apart. That's what we're talking about with this energy. Now, when I see the Emperor card with the Strength card, I feel like you know what, I just need to get one more with this because I want to make sure that I definitely get this message right. So I'm just going to pull out one different tarot card. 1 second. Oh no friggin' way. Oh my god, and we get the Strength card again. So 2 strengths on the Emperor. Oh no, wait, that's not helping me. Just give me 1 second now. Right, let me just feel into it properly. Okay, so what I think you need to be mindful of is, I'm getting this message about boundaries, and I'm just hearing that it's really, really important that, because the energy that is available for you in love is so open and receptive and loving, and I said to you, this person is not going to dissolve into you and you're not going to dissolve into them. But at the same time, to make sure that this is flattering and it is harmonious, the Emperor energy, so the other energy that needs to be going off in this relationship, is that you both actually do have a strong sense of self without going into a place of ego or overly asserting like your will over another. That's really, really important. I just can't understand why there's 2 Strength cards though, because that just feels like I suppose what's going off here is like it's like, I don't want to use the word power couple, but it's a power couple thing. But why I don't want to use the word power couple is because although they're the words I'm being given, what I'm actually being shown and the energy of that power couple is maybe different to our definition of it. So I'm basically seeing that the power couple energy that you need to understand to do with love right now is it's got nothing to do with what is being achieved in the outside world, although quite often it will accompany a lot being achieved in the outside world, just because the relationship is so flattering and like mutually compatible and emphasizes one another. But it's more like what's going off on a much deeper level, and that's kind of it's like just 2 energies coming together, which are so, again, I keep saying this thing about compatible and flattering, just so supportive. Oh, and little Rue's coming, going for a drink. It's just so supportive that it's basically about where energy is aligned, like your energy and the other person's energy, or what you need to know about love right now is that it's about Okay, this is interesting. It's coming through really clear now. So it's not always about, even though the energy is really flattering, even though it's super supportive, it doesn't mean that things are always going to be, you're going to be agreeing with each other. There's going to be different perspectives going off. One looking in one direction, one looking in another direction. And it's about still being able to work with that kind of opposing energy that comes in. Because what I think you guys need to know about love, well, this is it, it's coming in quite strongly now, is that even though it's very harmonious for you, it's very supporting, but it can be very flattering, and this is the experience that you can have with somebody, or that you are having with somebody, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be some points of tension or conflict. Definitely doesn't mean there's not going to be some points of tension or conflict. But the whole idea with this is not to work it into a frenzy, not to work it into something where it becomes bigger, a mountain out of a molehill. Because sometimes when you've got two energies that come together and they're so flattering for each other and all the rest of it, number one, you can naturally and easily take for granted each other because it's always so easy and so harmonious and just feels so good. But then the other big thing with this is it means that then when an issue does occur, because that issue feels so far away from the energy that you two both have, which is actually where you're super compatible, that when some lack of compatibility comes in, it can feel like a much bigger deal than what it actually is, and it can cause things to break. Because I remember when this card first came out, my guides were like, oh, this isn't the Seven of Pentacles, it's the, what's that thing? You see that axe thing there? And I can't think what it's called in one of the tarot decks. It's like an actual thing like the lemon tarot or something. But basically it's something that cuts things away. And I think there can be a tendency to think, not to catastrophize, but to kind of like go into a space of an almost anxious frenzy, because it just feels so out of alignment with where you're usually at to do with this person, or where you're usually at to do with relationship or something like that. And it can kind of feel like very blunt and very abrasive when everything is going so well, and then suddenly out of nowhere something comes in and it can really derail things. But I'm really hearing as well, this is where it's so important that you guys need to understand this concept about being grounded. Like the King of Pentacles is super mature and super grounded. Of all the kings, he is the most grounded, and and also because he is a king, he also naturally has that more connection to the earth and the air elements. So it's very much about make sure that you don't destroy something beautiful and highly compatible just because of some kind of strong disagreement between the two of you, where you both see things a different way and you both think you are right, and that neither of you will bend to the will of the other. I think that's really important to be mindful about that. And so again, I think what comes out with this whole thing about what you need to know about love is that it's not just flattering, but it's also accommodating. I think that's something that's really important. And it's like accommodating, it's like this concept about, because the thing is, again, the strength and the Emperor just feels to me like a lot of like really strong-willed, strong, highly defined, highly rooted energy, and that can essentially be incredibly fixed and inflexible. And I do think it's really important that you know that there needs to be some flexibility that goes off within love, within how you love, within how you receive love, and all of these kind of things, and that it's okay to have some very different perspectives than the other person, or very different beliefs from the other person, and that doesn't then mean that you are not super compatible or super flattering. It doesn't mean that at all. All it just means is that you still each have some of your own individual, I don't know, characteristics and preferences. And it's kind of like this, it's like 95% of you both is super flattering to each other and super matching, and you match each other, and you bring out the best in each other, and you highlight each other. But there might just be 5%, which is where you aren't quite so in tune and you aren't quite so matching. But that is seriously not a big deal in love. That's just about diversity. And it's not about needing to feel to cut things away when it gets to that point of like when something then becomes not as harmonious or flattering as what you think. It's definitely not about catastrophizing it. definitely don't catastrophize it. It's just like a normal thing. And it's really important that you're super practical and grounded and think logically about it. But more than anything, just don't make any hasty decisions over anything. I think that's really important. Right, now let's just pull out a few oracle. See what else. I'm going to turn them as we go on this one. Oh wow, the king again. Wow. So it says here, light attributes, enlightened benevolent leadership, benefiting those in charge. Shadow attributes, excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. Now, I feel like that excessive feelings of entitlement is what we're talking about here, when either one of you becomes very, very strong-willed about something and very, very definite about something. I think it's really just be really, really mindful that that doesn't disrupt some beautiful, loving relationships or connections. And again, I'm getting this actual energy of a very Scorpio type energy. It's when you feel there's so much merging and so much blending that's going on a really deep level with the Empress and the Emperor, that sometimes also two things can happen. One, sometimes people can start to feel insecure when they merge too much because they feel like they're losing some of their own identity, and then they'll feel the need to have to pull away and separate themselves because it all gets too much, in which case they'll choose something small or something big and cause it as a breaking point for them to just disappear because it gets too much. So some of you, I think you need to be mindful about that. But the other ones of you, I think you just need to be aware that when there's so much blending that goes on and you feel so amazing and you're so aligned and all the rest of it, like I say, something comes up where you have a disagreement about something and it suddenly feels like it's shattering everything because the energy is so different from how you're often so flattering to each other. But again, just remember, just like relax about your own beliefs or their beliefs, or relax about your differences basically. When there's so much similarity going off, relax about any differences. Differences are great. They're just some diversity. It's nothing more than that. Oh, look at this. There's so much love energy on this one. I love this card. So this is connection, quite literally. And then we've got the man and the woman there. Again, I just feel like just for you to know about love, there's so much compatibility going off here. So much, but in doing so it could naturally trigger some things. I do really feel like that. Now, on one of the other piles I mentioned a lot about don't go into push-pull dynamics. I feel like with you guys, it's not even about a push and a pull. All it is it's about relaxing about the differences that you both have and actually embracing the differences that you both have and realizing that the differences that you both have can actually, in some way, they end up being further enhancement and further flattering to your guys' relationship and you individually. But that's something that's going to grow a bit like a fine wine. So any of the differences that you have, stay with them, work with them, because they're going to mature in such a way that they're going to add a whole load of like fullness, flavor and embodiment to your relationship. And I think that is really, really important. And let's see, go on here. Okay, oh wow. So then we have new love, and it says embrace an opportunity for love in your work prospects or for spiritual growth. Oh wow, that's an interesting message. I feel like as well, what I'm really getting for this is the shooting star thing. I think, you know, if something feels like it's a wish come true or like so many things are working, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Don't look for a problem. Do not look for a problem. And I do feel like as well, again, you know, it says embrace an opportunity for love in your work prospects. Again, like I said, when you get two people coming together like this that are super flattering to each other's energy and are super compatible, so much can be created in physical reality because you're not going to be going through the day-to-day dramas that so many relationships can sometimes have when there's a lot of incompatibility, because then a lot of energy and resources gets put into trying to sort out tiny little problems all of the time, and that's incredibly draining. Whereas what you need to know about love is that actually for you guys, and definitely right now, it's definitely about either you're with a partner or it's about you being with a partner who actually is really, really going to help you grow more. And I think you're going to grow more in assets, so literally in a very physical way, like earn more money. something better happen at work, start a new business. I don't know, there's something about that, buy a new home. There's going to be something that's very, very practical and grounded that will come out of the result of this relationship. Oh, one other thing as well I'm getting with this, sorry, it's just come in, is make sure you can really hear what each other are saying as well. When differences come up, or when issues come up, just make sure that you actually put a lot of time into listening to what each other is saying, and then troubleshoot, work out how to find a solution to whatever is going off. But first of all, it's really important that you listen to each other and you hear what's being said, because I feel like people that have chosen this pile, you might have a tendency to not always hear what somebody's saying in the heat of their moment, because there's some quite intense Scorpio energy which can basically hit off the solar plexus, and it can kind of distort internally what you are hearing because of almost like this intense energy that you're feeling, or this intense emotion that you're feeling. So yeah, sorry, I was just getting that really clearly then. It just came out of nowhere, so I thought I'd best say it before I forget. Then we have Law of Attachment. Yeah, you know what, funny enough, yours is the first pile when I actually started to feel some things about the styles of attachment, because I'm getting a flavour, I'm getting two flavours actually. I'm getting a flavour of anxious attachment and also dismissive avoidant. And they're two different ways of relating to do with unhealthy attachment styles. I think it might be really useful if you're in a relationship to understand what the other person's attachment style is, and also understand your own. And obviously if you're not in a relationship, I definitely think it's important for you to understand your own attachment style, because I feel like this will help you greater understand your partner. And I do feel if you're in a relationship, this relationship does, as much as it's amazing, I do think it requires a high level of understanding and a high level of communication between the two of you. And with communication, I don't just mean talking, I mean listening as well. I feel like this could be a real strength within this kind of setup that you have. And also, if you're not in a relationship, again, I feel like these skills are really important for you anyway, to do with the listening and communicating, and just kind of like really understanding what's going on with another person, and really understanding what this means for you, and when to support them and when they need to support you, and just all the different interchanges that happen. I'm kind of feeling that really, really strongly. But again, because I think there is a high level of, you know, like this flattery thing, there's a high level of hugely compatibility between the two. I think you're more prone to potentially set up some attachment style, because life will feel so great with the two of you that it might trigger off some sense of scared of losing something or losing someone, which then can at some point trigger off an attachment style. So yeah, whoever you are, in a relationship or not, definitely understand your own attachment style. If you're in a relationship, then definitely understand your partner's attachment style too. That's what I would definitely say with that. Here. Oh wow, I love Albert Einstein, so cool. So it says here, objects in a mirror are closer than they appear. The distance between two objects is always relative. The simplest things are sometimes the most complex. I think that's really, really interesting. Objects in a mirror appear closer than they actually are. I do think as well there could be a lot of mirroring going off with you and this other person in some way, because of the fact that you are almost like this counterpart energy, or whoever you're going to be with, there's going to be a lot of mirroring. And again, I think it's really, really important that this doesn't blow things out of perspective. I think that's really, really important. It's kind of like, and again, you know, the distance between two objects, again, this tests to me this attachment thing. I just think there's so much amazing energy available here, but I also do feel like it requires quite a lot of maturity to be able to balance such two strong and compatible energies coming together long term. And I think that's something that you guys need to be aware of. So if you're not in a relationship, definitely understand attachment styles. Also understand different ways to communicate in relationships. I think you really understanding how to communicate, you know, when to listen, how to support, how to not react, all of these kind of things. I think they're all really, really important. because I do think it's important that you guys understand about love right now, that it really will be pushing you to relate on a much more deeper, mature level, and that in itself will at times be challenging. But the challenge is really like, it's almost like the challenge of sitting an exam to pass something to move further on, or the challenge of like doing an athletic race and having to really push yourself. It's not like it's a challenge which is like, I don't know why this is coming to my head, but like trying to break out of a prison or something like that. It's not a heavy challenge. It's more like it's a challenge which is asking you to step up and become even more. And I think that that is really, really important. And I do think as well, the simplest things are sometimes the most complex. Again, make sure you don't overcomplicate any kind of disagreements that you have, or any bits where you're actually not compatible. Don't overcomplicate that, because the majority is super compatible. So don't do that thing where things are going really well and then suddenly you're finding a problem. Try and stay away from that. I think that's really, really important. And then I think we just need one more card. Trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. I think just simply with the trust thing is I think when difficulties come in, or any kind of so a level of incompatibility occurs, which will naturally happen even in the most compatible energy of the Emperor and the Empress. So when any kind of incompatible energy comes in, I think you just really have to relax with it and just trust that it's just part of a relating. Even if you have an amazing relationship, still at times, sometimes a lack of compatibility will arise, and that's normal, and it's kind of healthy, because otherwise you might end up like dissolving into each other. And although that might sound highly romantic, we are also on the earthly plane, and to dissolve into somebody else is going to absolutely set up a whole load of attachment styles. Don't even know where that went there. Yeah, it's going to set up a whole load of attachment problems and issues if you do that, and also codependencies. So know that a bit of difference and a bit of seemingly incompatible traits or lifestyle habits or something isn't necessarily the end of the world to these two energies. But it does need you need to just allow there to be differences, allow there to be, disagreements, without it actually meaning anything more than, we're just disagreeing about something. So now let me just have a look here. This is the last one. This is just for you to interpret yourself, to add it onto the reading. I love this picture. So it says here, be in the presence and dream of the future. When we dream, everything is possible. So that is for you guys, if you want to put all of that together and see how it feels for you. And I look forward to reading for you again soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose message number 4 for what you most need to know about love right now. So let's see. Okay. So, actually, you know what? We're doing this the other way around. I'm going to go first of all with Oracle. For some reason I did Tarot first for everybody else, but we're going to go first of all with Oracle for you guys. So let's just see. So the first thing I'm getting is, oh wow, King's just popped out. That was in message 3 as well. The first thing I'm getting for you guys is that actually love isn't necessarily what you think it is. And that's something that you just need to be aware of right now. So I don't know what it is your beliefs are, what your thoughts are about love, but actually straight away this reading is saying it's not exactly the opposite to what you think, but it's something different to what you're actually thinking and imagining. But let's just see what the cards come out with. So we have, nice card, Divine Being. And then we have the King card. So light attributes, enlightened, benevolent leadership, benefiting those you're in charge of. Shadow aspects, excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. And then we have here Hugh Hefner. I love it. It says here, make every night a one-night stand. Long-term relationships are great. Have as many as you can. Surround yourself with young partners to stay fit. I love that. I think as well, like, this is the thing. Like, I feel like some of you might have some certain judgments about what you think love is, and I think those judgments are actually quite restricting. And they're really restricting the deeper part of who you are. And also, it's very restrictive to where your soul wants to take you to. So I feel like to do with love, you might be trying to push it in a certain direction, but maybe it's a little bit fractious if you're in a relationship, or it's difficult to get into a relationship because you're pushing in the wrong direction, is what I'm kind of hearing. Oh, nice. I love this. And this came out in one of the other piles as well. So it says spiritual connection. A relationship has a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. Yeah, and let's just see what this one is. Oh, playfulness. Yeah, you know what? I really get a playful vibe with this. Definitely the Hugh Hefner. I mean, obviously that just made me laugh instantaneously. And like, you know, the Playboy bunnies and stuff like that, depending obviously on your belief systems, as an actual energy, really, for me energetically, it just feels like a lot of fun, regardless of what your beliefs are. It's just something that it's just really playful. And it says anyway here, to recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. I think that's definitely the vibe that I get from Hugh Hefner. Obviously, he's got many different vibes going off, but the one that I'm feeling relative to this reading is definitely the playful energy. And just kind of like not taking things too seriously, but also kind of like being brave enough to cultivate the full reality of how you want to experience love, even if it is quite unconventional. And this unconventionality, it might be unconventional to society, but probably more likely a lot of you, I feel like it's just unconventional to do with where your family would go or how your family has been to do with stuff. I feel like you to do with love, whatever you've seen in your family, I think it might be quite serious, it might be quite controlling, it might on some level have been quite restrictive, or at least that's how you perceived it when you're younger. Now that you're older, you definitely have the ability to perceive that past very differently. But I also do just feel like what it is that you need to know about love is that it can be a lot of fun. It can be really playful. It is not controlling at all. That's one thing I really hear strongly with this pile. Like, it is not controlling and it is not judgmental at all. It's very kind of, I think for you guys, you need to know that love should be very, very creative. It should be very, very dynamic. I feel like I actually do feel like a strong masculine type of energy. A strong masculine type of energy is something that will work really well for you within a loving relationship. So whether you are the one that has the strong masculine energy or they are the one that has the strong masculine energy, I feel like it's kind of, I feel like actually, although it might now be quite unconventional for one party to be, or let's just say very specifically here, the male party to be way more, what would I say, like leading than the feminine. I feel like, no, wait, let me get this right, because actually here it looks like the feminine's leading more than the masculine. I actually feel like what you just need to know then is when it comes to love, you also just need to decide what works for you. Do you want to be the one that's more leading, or do you want them to be the one that's more leading? I think this is something for you to know. And I think it could go either way. It's not like I feel like it's one way or the other for this pile. It's just that individually you all need to know which role that you like, and then I think you need to make sure that you carry through with that role and that you don't have any conflicting messages. So sometimes you're leading and then other times you're not, or sometimes you're following and then other times you're not, unless it's something that you have fully communicated with each other, because I think it could cause quite a bit of confusion, because I think there's like very, very definite roles within love that I also see and feel within this pile. So it's kind of really interesting, because as much as like there's a really playful and innocent energy, I do also feel like there's also really quite a strong kind of dominant kind of fixed energy that's also going off within this pile. And so I guess it's important for you guys, when it comes to love, I think what you need to work out is, where are you flexible with love and where are you quite fixed with love? And I think if you just understand where you sit with that on both of these aspects to do with love, I think when you are if you're in a relationship right now, I think it will help improve that relationship, because you'll have a real clarity that goes on and there'll be no confusion. And then there'll be definite leadership. Because remember, sometimes to lead, it's not necessarily about you leading per se and telling the other person we're doing this. It can also just be about you leading with your energy. Like, you are very clear and it's very certain what you will and won't do and where you go with stuff without you even saying anything. So I kind of feel like it's so interesting, but something you need to know about love right now is like the clarity to do with how you work with leadership and how you are with leadership within a one-on-one connection. I kind of feel like that is really important. But at the same time, this playful energy I think is really important. And also, just like if love for you is something which is really unconventional, or it's something that it's like Marmite, there'll be half people that love what it is that you're into to do with love and half that won't, or whatever it might be. I think it's really important you need to embrace that still, because that is who you are. That is totally who you are. And it's really important that you do have that authenticity with whatever it is that you're doing, and that you also just own it. You need to own whatever it is that you love in a relationship or don't love within a relationship, or whatever that might be. Even stuff as clear as, you know, do you want to be the leader? Do you want to be the follower? Do you want to be the assertive one? Do you want to be the submissive one? Like, I don't know. You only you know. And the more that you're clear about that, the more that you can align up with somebody that will match you in that type of way. So also what I'm really feeling with this pile is, you need to know, what you need to know with love right now is that be clear, be really clear with yourself what is important for you to do with love, and also how is it you feel most loved. Because you might have like a really unique way of feeling loved, and I don't know what that might be. Or there might be a really specific way that you really want to, a specific lifestyle that you'd love to have that is really, really important to you. Because I do also feel like if you guys aren't in a relationship, you bring it in a relationship into your life when you're at your most happiest. You know, some people attract people when they're in a difficult place, some people a happy place, some people many different places. I feel like for you guys, you actually attract somebody into your life when you're in a really good place within your life, and that becomes a very, very supportive, nurturing relationship. And I do really feel that strongly. I think this is something for you to recognise. And I do also feel like the right partner for you guys currently is also somebody that is really playful and that's very, very accepting and open to the many different parts of you, including the issues, not just the fun stuff but also the issues. I feel like that's really important, because obviously we all have issues to some extent, and I do feel like it's really important love for you is not controlling in any way. But now let's just pull out a few tarot and let's see what we get. I'm not going to read these reversed either. So what do you most need to know about love? Message number 4. What do you most need to know about love? Woo! Okay. So let's get here first. So the first thing we have is we have 5 of Pentacles. Yeah, I do think there's this big thing about acceptance, about being accepted for who you are. I think that's really important. And I think you need to know that love should be really accepting of you. And if someone isn't accepting of you, that right now at this moment in time is not a loving thing for you at all. Oh wow, yeah, because we have the 5 of Swords followed by the 3 of Swords. Like, I feel like this pile needs to know that there might have been some difficulties either now or in the past to do with relationship and relating. Definitely if you have you either have a more unconventional style of loving, or what it is that you need to feel loved or to be loved, or I don't know, the way that you want to do relationships is more different to what conventional society would say. There's either that going off, or it's like there's something quite unique that's occurred to you in the past, and that unique thing has actually caused it's been quite difficult. It's been a difficult thing as a soul to have gone through, and also a human to go through, and for some reason it has obstructed you in romantic relationships a bit. It's been something that's difficult. And again, it does mean that it's really important that love for you right now is somebody that can fully accept you and embrace you as you are, your unique bits, your wounded bits, all of your bits. Because I do feel like whether you're aware of it or not, you might actually have quite a few barriers up to do with love. Or if you don't have barriers up to do with love, I think you might unconsciously be kind of like part... I can never say this word. You know when you have different parts within your brain and they're all separate, so you're like a bit discombobulated internally in your head to do with love. Like, you think it should be like this in this way, this in that way, this in the other way. I don't know, there's many different like constraints on love in some way, and that is the opposite energy of what you personally should have to do with love. It should not be constraining at all. Like, I'm almost getting quite an Aquarius vibe, so it's quite unique and it's quite quirky. But also because, let's say you're more like this second group that I sort of mentioned, where it's not necessarily that you've got a particular unique thing that you want in the way that to be loved, but you've had quite a unique experience happen to you which has made it difficult for you to love in some way. It's just kind of like, and I've forgotten where my train of thought was going with that. It's just gone. Oh, that's it, the boundaries. I think it's just kind of, it's almost like on some level, you're not joining the dots together to do with what love is and how love can work with you, because you've got too many different dissociated parts in some way because of what's happened in the past. And I think, again, it's just for you to understand that somebody can come in and help you join those discombobulated parts within you, because it feels like it's a very nurturing love for you right now. It needs to be very nurturing and very, very supportive, but at the same time it will be a lot of fun, but it's gonna, somebody's really, really truly going to love you for who you are and the way you are, despite anything that's happened in the past that's been difficult. And you know what, to be honest, I think that might even bond you together even closer. So also, if you are in a relationship and stuff is coming up, if you feel like actually really you need to tell your partner something about what might have happened to you in the past, or something that's difficult, whatever it is, I do feel like this reading is like saying to you, do it, communicate, because I feel like this person can really hold space for you and what's going off. And I feel like as well, that's just going to help you, it's going to help you feel more like you are accepted and that you're understood, and that will be incredibly healing. And at the same time, it's going to help to build a stronger bond between the two of you. So yeah, I do feel that quite strongly. And we also have here the Hanged Man, and we have the Hierophant. Pile 1 also had the Hierophant. So again, I do feel I feel like you really are quite a unique pile, and I think that uniqueness also, you might have put it in your head like you're no good in a relationship, or you're not meant to have a relationship, or if you are in a relationship, or relationships never last. I really get that kind of feeling, and I think it's just because you don't ever feel fully understood and appreciated by another person. But I think that is only because either you're not fully accepting of your uniqueness and you're not really truly going after who and what it is you really want, or It's just that you're not fully accepting of something that's happened to you in the past, and you're just a bit ill ease to do with it, and for some reason that causes an issue within relationship, particularly when you're supposed to be super playful and connective and open and fun with your partner, and yet because of whatever this is in the past, it feels a bit heavy and it feels a bit of a mismatch to the relationship or the loving type of energy that's there available for you. So I do feel like it is really, again, this is about listening to your soul. Always with the Hierophant, I think it's always about listening to your soul, and I feel like it's about I think it's something about not being hard on yourself. I feel like you're really quite hard on yourself to do with relationships and relating, or you're really quite hard on relationships and or partners in some level. So you'll know which one you are. You're either hard on yourself, hard on the concept of relationships, or hard on your partner, depending. And I just feel like that's something as well where don't get too restrictive with yourself or with the idea of relationships, or don't get too restrictive with your partner. I think that's really, really important, because you don't actually need to control anything, because I think this pile needs to understand that you really are safe. Like, what you need to know about love right now is that it's a really safe space for you, and if somebody's in your life right now, they're really good for you and safe for you. And if somebody isn't, then you need to cultivate those feelings of generally feeling safe with another, because somebody can really be like this with you. Like, look at these two pictures. And you know what, even the Five of Pentacles here, well, first of all, look at these two pictures. Look how loving and supportive all that feels and looks. And then with this one, even the Five of Pentacles, which is usually always about some sort of worry or poor self-worth or like physical restraints, look, it's still a very loving, embracing picture. Like, you know, relationship for you right now would be a really positive, amazing thing for you. And I actually think it might actually help bring out some kind of like entrepreneurial part within you. And what I mean by that is not necessarily starting your own business, but kind of something about creating something with life in a new way. And that might even just be relationship itself, because it's about you doing it in like a new way to what you would usually do, as like we heard from the very beginning. And then let's just, oh wow, Lovers again. Oh, I love these two together. Okay, so then we have the Lovers and we have the Sun card. Again, it's just kind of literally what I was just saying. Like, I just think right now what you need to know about love is it's a great step forward for you. It's really positive for you. I think you'll gain so much out of it, but I think you just have to let yourself go there. And I think you've got to untie yourself from whatever you feel tied to. So I don't know if you feel tied up to a certain belief that's stopping you getting a relationship, or you feel tied up to being in a relationship that maybe isn't the most supportive or doesn't allow you to be your most authentic, or I don't know, you're just tied up to something which is just keeping you constricted. And it's a completely opposite energy to what love should be like for you, because actually I couldn't give a better depiction of what love should be like for you with these two cards, the Lovers and the Sun. And remember, in the actual tarot deck, the Sun card is actually a child like riding on a a white horse. So again, it's that very kind of playful but very nurturing and connective energy. And I really, really feel that strongly. So also, if you guys are looking for a partner, again, I do feel like it should be something that brings out the playful side within you, particularly if things have been heavy in the past, or sometimes things are really heavy. This person should really kind of like lift you up, and I don't know, I just feel like you should be having a lot of fun with them, a huge amount of fun with them. And I feel like you'll experience a lot of things together which lots of other people would never experience, because they just don't even go there in whatever way it might be. So I don't know, it just feels, I'm not going to lie, the past feels quite heavy for you guys to do with relationships and love, but the future feels super, super bright, because obviously we go from like the Five of Pentacles and the Three of Swords here, and then we end up with the Lovers and the Sun card here. So yeah, it just feels like, I think just as a quick summation then for what you need to know about love right now, know that it might be very different to what you actually thought it was. It might be very, very different to what you thought it was. And in a way, again, it's like you're breaking your own convention. You know, it might not be that you have a particular different aspect, a view on love compared to most of society, but it's more like the view that you have internally to do with love is, it's going to have a complete twist, because it's not what you think it is. Love is not what you think it is. It's something way more amazing, way more fun, way more playful, way more magical, way more creative, way more imaginative is what I feel with this, while also being very stable. And I think maybe that's a difficult concept for some of you to get, that something could be so fun and so playful, yet also so stable. I feel like that's something that you might need to work within, because who the hell would have thought that Hugh Hefner's like business of the Playboy bunnies thing would become as successful as it was? I mean, like, that is completely off-piste. And obviously it's super creative, obviously it involved so many people having so much fun, and yet it was actually very, very stable, because look how long it went on for. And even now, almost everybody knows what a Playboy bunny is, so it became very iconic, you know. So I just stay open to the fact that, you know, love can be super playful, this other person can be super playful and all of this thing, but you can still have a very, very stable, happy, long-term relationship. Then also know that this person or love for you is very, very supporting and accepting of the unique characteristics that you have that maybe not be everybody's kind of thing, but also of any difficult past things that have happened. And you can communicate it to them, and they will be very, very open and work with that with you. I think they're kind of the really important things. And just also make sure that you don't have, just check that you don't have any massive barriers up either to your partner or to a relationship in general, because that's something that I see that could be something that obstructs you to love at this moment in time. And also become aware of any kind of like disassociated parts of yourself to do with love and relationship. So that would be anywhere where you've not had a very good experience to do with love and relationship, and you've kind of like maybe tried to hide it or put it to the back of your mind. But the thing is, unconsciously that's still playing out in you now at this moment in time, and it's actually could be quite restrictive, either if you're in a relationship or if you're trying to get into a relationship. And they're kind of the things that I think is really important for you to be aware of and be mindful of. But anyway, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up one more card. This is just for you guys to interpret, and I love how the sun's just come out for you guys. This is just for you guys to interpret, but I'll read out what it says at the bottom. Oh wow, this is the second pile to get this. It says, have faith, trust your faith in this situation. Such a beautiful card. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I look forward to reading for you again soon. Bye.